So, 2026 is right around the corner, and with that, I figured we could go over some changes that would be super positive for that year and just Dead by Daylight's future in general. First, we're going to start off with just the quality of life changes before we move on to more important topics like gameplay and stuff like that. First off, we have the Prestige 100 rewards, and I'm talking more of a cosmetic, not just like a banner or an achievement or something. Once you get to Prestige 100, you do get a little badge that everybody can see at the end of the game, but that's about it, and there's not really much else for making you there other than bragging rights. But if you got like a decent cosmetic, like if we're talking prestige but coated from head to toe in pure red blood, would be so cool. Or even like a red Prestige 100 crown, kind of like the anniversary crowns. Anyway, getting to Prestige 100 doesn't really get you much besides bragging rights, and I feel like we should change that. I think it would just be more rewarding to have some sort of visual cosmetic in-game, something you can use in-game. Next quality of life change, this one's actually extremely personal. Do you guys ever log into Dead by Daylight and just get that little exclamation mark on the store, so you go through every single skin that has been added in the past 45 days and click on them, and then every single piece of the item to get rid of that exclamation mark? Can we just get like an all red or an all seen little button, a little clear all button at the top of that would be nice. Thank you, behavior. Next up, and this one is just something I thought would be kind of cool, like in the moment, but if we get like a weapon inspect animation for killers, I feel like it would just bring some life. The only real animations in-game that killers can do is nodding, which doesn't really count. Meanwhile, survivors can say, like, you know, they have the point and then they come here animations. If killers could just get like a weapon inspect animation, I feel like that would add so much more to the character. Although it wouldn't be used much and it would be in no way tactical or useful, it would still be fun. That and like visceral skins and stuff can have their own unique ones. It would just make things more interesting for buying skins, I guess. For my final quality of life change, this isn't the overall final, but I don't want to make the video crazy long for a little video like this, so just say give Trapper a rework. Initially, like, Trapper is the first killer that you get, and he is by far the weakest killer in the entire game, which is disappointing for the mascot of the whole game. In fact, his original power was probably a lot stronger. A lot of people don't know, but basically back when Dead by Daylight was in pre-alpha, way before any playable versions were even released, Trapper was supposed to have a bear trap attached to a chain where he could pull survivors back. I feel like literally any amount of reworking would be good for him at this point, but the mascot of the game being one of the weakest characters is just disappointing because it can kind of let you know just how much behavior does not care about him specifically. Like, he's part of their project and they do not give a fuck. Now we're going to get on to the more intensive stuff, and yeah, this is going to be very controversial for some people, so I'm sorry about that. First and foremost, we have game balances. The game is crazy unbalanced. Like, typically behavior went from it being, like, them being okay with this game being a hack and slash, and like, you can try to survive, but it's kind of expected that you won't one big bad guy versus four normal people. But then, obviously, the community got a bit upset, so behavior had to change the rules and make it more fair, where these people have a much higher chance of escaping and killers are far weaker, making it more, like, evened out, which I guess kind of does fit with the whole lore of the game, but at the end of the day, like, they've just kind of taken it to the extreme with the sense of removing some serious features from killers and adding some serious buffs to survivors. So I feel like priority number one for gameplay should be getting that right, and then once that's sorted, do whatever else you want. With that being said, I'm not picking a side, and I wouldn't know how to fix it, but just at the moment with the constant back and forth, it's not healthy. At least not when I see all these changes and just go, oh yep, no, that's way too extreme, so's that. I don't know how they could fix it, but at this point, it seems like once they've got that fleshed out and once they have a proper balance, they can start making some actual really worthwhile changes. Next up, we need more original and meaningful chapters. The last, I'd say, decent, creepy, meaningful, like, piece of original content we got was in March of 2024 with The Unknown. The last original chapter we got before the Krasu was last year, almost exactly a year ago, on November 29th, was with the Houndmaster, and even then, not an incredible chapter in my opinion, but that might just be the character not being super advertised, because they didn't even get a trailer or a tease or anything. They got nothing. When I say like these chapters, I'm not counting the half chapters, obviously I'm just doing the full ones. You get the point. But the fact that the last chapter we got, where I can actually imagine or remember myself being like super hyped up and super like speculative, looking over every piece of Dead by Daylight media, every piece of content I could find, every YouTuber's video, just looking up every hint I could find, was with the unknown. We got so much incredible advertising, and I honestly think it did really, really good for the chapter, because it was all people were talking about the whole time it was being teased, and it was really, really cool teasers as well. If I can find some online, I'll put them on screen. If not, then they've probably been removed, because from what I understood, they actually fired the person who made those teasers. That is just a rumor. I'm not 100% sure about that. Either way, more original content would do so much good for the game, at least to the players who are here and actively trying to enjoy it, instead of behavior trying to branch out to new IPs and licenses. If we just got some actual good content in-game with good advertising and fun advertising. My final point for like this whole video is just some new game modes. Well, not my final point, my final want for the next year is just some new game modes, because we've had the same 3 in rotation for the past year. 2v8 is probably one of the most fun things, so I get that, but if we just added a couple more, like we got a massive survey list that they initially teased, and it was like prop hunt and hide and seek, along with a couple Among Us game modes with survivors voting each other out. Just like really, really cool ideas that have not come to life yet, and no sort of talk has been made about them. The only real special game mode we have is 2v8, which is incredible. But besides that, nothing really different. It's just the same things on repeat. That and 2v8 seems to be the only one that actually gets major updates. The others just get variations of what they previously were, with some license crossovers, I guess. But yeah, some new game modes would be very, very welcome, at least in my opinion. I'm very bored of the 3 we have that are just on repeat or on rotation, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry that this one is kind of short. I'll probably be back to ranking next week. I've got a couple ideas. But yeah, have a good day or night depending where you live, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. And subscribe, please.